There's been so much going on in the world of disc golf recently. There's been that spotter gate, there's been lawsuits, discrimination, some serious stuff going on. And you know what I was thinking? I thought maybe we could go into something else for a little bit. And that would be, can your disc work as a decent bowl? Let's talk about it. All right, I noticed that about 92% of you are watching but not subscribed. So before we get into this, if you could please subscribe, that would really mean a lot to me. So I thought to myself, how can I combine disc golf with my love for bowls? And I thought, you know what? I can see a disc as a potential plate, but what about being a bowl? So today we're gonna be testing out if this disc will be the best bowl out of this set of 10 discs. All right, so the rules are pretty simple here. I'm not gonna do a whole lot of dissemination on which disc has like better physics for being a better scooping motion. Just kind of go with like my feel and overall thoughts. And I have to say my preconceived notions, I'm a little bit biased. I think the Berg and the Tilt will be the top contenders, but it's hard to say. I've never actually eaten cereal out of a disc, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm going to go from the most high speed to the lowest. A little bit biased. Don't call me a cereal disc expert. I'm just a guy with a camera. So let's see how it goes. I think Cheerios will be a good base because I don't actually want to be really eating right now. I'm really hoping I don't taste any dirt particles. I tried to wash these discs very thoroughly, but I played so many rounds with all these that there's probably just a little bit of dirt particles, but that's fine, whatever. All right, so I'm going to be doing a basic 1 to 10 scale. If it does well, then it will be moved on to the next round. But I'm kind of just gonna wing it and see how it goes. All right, first up, we're going with the Tilt. This is a first series Tilt. You can definitely tell it's seen some wear and tear, but look at that beefy rim. Like I gotta say, this might be the best. But even with all the beef, it is very flat. So I'm wondering if that has any indication of some poor bowl skills, but we will see. Initial test was pretty poor. Maybe I just am bad at pouring. You can see it's just so board flat that you can wiggle it, but it's probably not gonna give you a great scooping motion, and I bet the pour of the milk isn't gonna be great either. Well, let's find out. Oh, I can't believe I'm doing this. All right, so if it is just totally flat, it doesn't seem terrible. All right, so you immediately cannot get any milk because you have to scoop a flat surface, which does not really allow you to get liquids. So docking a little bit of points there. I gotta say, not terrible. If I were to pick this up, which is pretty hard to do because it's totally flat, you can see it's almost like a dog bowl, like very raised edges, and you can't get any liquid. Because the rim is so deep, it's not terrible. Not great, but it's not terrible. I give it 6.5 out of 10. All right, next up, we got a pretty cool disc, if I have to say so myself. A Wild Runs DD3. Much like the Tilt, this is a beefy boy, and it is pretty board flat. I'm not expecting a whole lot of differences from the Tilt. Maybe just a little bit more scooping capability, because it's just a little bit less flat than the Tilt, but still pretty board flat. And I don't have these yet, but I think it'd be pretty cool to have a actual run of these DD3s on my site. Not now, but at some point if you guys are interested. These are pretty sick. So I can immediately tell that the pouring of a cereal bounced a little bit less because a little bit domier. So getting a little bit of points there. I really just want to rip this thing in the field, but can't do that because it's the middle of the night. All right, time for the pour. I'm trying to get a lot of distance on this pour so that it's not, so that I'm not cheating it out for any potential failures it may have. All right, yeah. Once again, it is pretty board flat, so getting any liquid is very difficult. The rim definitely has an interior contour, which makes it very hard to lose any of your cereal. So that's gonna give us some more points on the Tilt. I'm not gonna say it's very different than the Tilt, but just having that little bit of ease to not spill your stuff definitely gives it a little bit more points. And just to additionally grade these, I thought I would do a little bit of a slurp, so sorry if you don't want to hear slurps. Just doing a little quick slurp. Terrible slurping ability. Very terrible. That was a worse slurp. But overall, being a little bit less flat, getting a little bit more scoop, getting the interior contour to the rim, making it harder to lose your liquids and your cereal, gives it a little bit more points. I'm giving this a 7.5. All right, I think I'm getting to a spot where I have a little bit more confidence in how this is gonna work. All right, next up, a Calvin Heimberg Halo Destroyer. I think this is going to be potentially number one, actually. Looking at the depth of the dome of the disc, which I'm sure it doesn't really read on camera, but I think it'll be a very easy scooping motion with liquid. I think it just, it has a very deep rim to it still, so I think this might be a hot contender. All right, that pour was probably one of the best pours yet, and I would say handily. This is really a top tier pour right here. Yeah, because of the raised rim, a domier center, makes it very easy to scoop. I would say I'm not having any issues with this as my daily driver, both on the field and on the breakfast table. I'm giving this an 8.5, maybe even a 9. Time for the slurp. This is gonna be a solid 8. Solid 8, could be better about the slurp, but overall, really dug it. All right, next up, the Royal Grace. This is my favorite dish to throw of all time, so I have high hopes, but it is not a whole lot on that rim. It may not work the best, but as an actual thrower, loving the disc. So far, so good. I'm gonna say it's pretty mid. Doesn't really do a whole lot of things great, not a whole lot of things bad. Compared to the Halo Destroyer, it just doesn't give me that same wow factor. This would not be my daily driver. Not the one for me for bowls. But it does have a pretty good slurping mode. I give this 6.5. All right, next up, a Zachariah Johnson Champ Destroyer. I have loved this disc ever since I got it, but seeing the competitors, I don't think it'll make a run for top 3. That was a bad pour. You can already see it's board flat, so it's just not gonna get that nice pour from the cereal that you want. It retains your liquid very well. I think this has the same issue as the Grace did. It doesn't do anything particularly unique to it. Gotta give me a slurp before I give the final score. It's gotta be the same as the Grace, 6.5. It just didn't wow me in the same way that that Destroyer did. So that concludes the first 5. We got our final 5. I think these could be either total duds or total studs. I have pretty high hopes for these, so let's get started. Dickerson Tour Series Buzz. I think it'll be a pretty good contender, but let's find out. I have a little bit of concerns about the board flat top to it. The rims are still looking pretty good. I think the slurp might save this one, but we'll see. I think it's kind of hard to assess it because it does have pretty similar characteristics to some of the other options, like the DD3, which is a little bit surprising. I would imagine they were so different. But just the flatness, the thick rim, I don't think it wows me. I think there's a lot to it that is just more of the same. Yeah, I think it's good, not great. So I'm giving it 7.5. A Discmania tactic. I didn't mean to do this, but I have a lot of Discmania in here. So this tactic has seen a lot of use, so I really hope I don't get any plastic in my body. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna forego the slurp test. I'm not touching the rim of that. Yeah, call me biased. I'm just considering it a dud. It doesn't have what I'm looking for. Thinner rim, just not for me. I'm giving it 4. Pretty high hopes for these final 2, but next up, we got the Simon Zott Hex. I thought this had a little bit more dome to it. It does not. This feels a little bit more like dog bowly. I'm not loving how that went. Yeah, I can't say there's too much to not like about this. It's got, okay, well, upon pickup, there's a little bit more to dislike. Having that thinner rim makes it pretty tough to pick up any liquids. Has some give to it, which was good for throwing it, but when you pick it up, you push the liquids almost over the rim, which is not what you want in cereal bowl. You don't want to be scooping and then you pick it up and you just lose all your cereal, so that's gonna lose some points. Nearly S tier on that slurp. It's gonna be docking some major points with that give to it in the middle of the rim. If it wasn't for that give, I'd probably give it some more points, but right now, it's a 7. All right, we got our last 2 contenders. I'm feeling pretty good about these. All right, next up, the Supreme Judge. I love this as my brand new go-to putter. So we'll see how it fares when it comes to being a bowl. That depth of the rim really adds some complexity to your pour, which I love to see. This is hitting for me. This is really hitting. And that pickup was just perfect. This is a little bit deceiving. It has so much depth on that rim that it actually has a lot of a room. So when you have that pickup, you're not going to be spilling liquids. This is potentially S tier. I'm loving it. S tier slurp. Very, very impressive. Very, very pleasurable experience when it comes to your everyday pour of liquid. So I'm really digging it. I give this a 9. All right, last up, the number 1 seed, the one everyone was talking about. It's the Berg. I don't want to overhype. I think this is number 1. I'm gonna try to put my my biases aside and just grade this as the bowl that it needs to be. All right, I'm already seeing a little bit of concerns. The flat top doesn't do great for the pour. It's actually not even flat. It has a little bit of, it actually has a little bit of interior concave to it. Oh, but that pour is looking great. Pretty good, pretty good. So having that little ridge right here for gripping actually does correlate to a better grip for your bowl. So that's gonna give us some points. I'm not gonna say it's going to get an easy win here, but it is darn good. It is darn good. Yeah, overall, it's fitting. It's hitting all the boxes. I'm not gonna spoil my final score yet. We're gonna do a slurp, give it a fair shot. That was a very good slurp. Having that smooth rim to it really added to a better slurping experience, which is hard to beat. I don't know how it could do much better. Wow, this is gonna be tough. This is gonna be really tough. Let's bring out the top 3, see which ones stack up. Supreme Judge sitting at 9. We got the Calvin Heimberg Destroyer sitting at 8.5, and then we have the Berg. I think I have to just look at all my criteria, look at what I'm wanting in the bowl, and go from there, because my biases towards this Berg are hitting pretty hard. So I want to give everyone a fair shake. All right, let's look at the pour of the Halo Destroyer. Pretty solid. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It just felt right. Pour of the Judge was just kind of classically good. It fits what you want in just a bowl. Did it wow me? I mean, kind of. But then it comes to the Berg. Did the Berg wow me in the same way? Kind of. I think the putter aesthetic kind of just matches. They're gonna have similar experiences. So now I have to decide, do I go putter or driver? This is gonna be a pretty difficult decision. This is not easy. I might even say this is downright difficult. Pour, more fun with the Destroyer, more practical with the putters. Fair. Scoop, let's do a quick scoop. All right. There's just nothing wrong with that Destroyer. Sure, it doesn't have the same amount of depth to it on that rim, but nothing wrong. Ooh. The scoop on actually the Judge was, I would say, it's downright better than the Berg. So this is just really difficult. Do I go for a more fun or a more practical? I don't know. I just don't know. All right, let's do one quick slurp. Yeah, slurping definitely goes through that Berg. Having that rounded curve of the rim just really made it nice. Made me feel like I was at home. All right, so I think every different disc has a potential winning factor to it. We got the Judge. Judge is just feeling so classically nice, so comforting. Feels right. Just is a great all-around good bowl. We got the Halo Destroyer. Maybe less practical. Downright less practical. But a more fun pour, more fun scoop, and it just looks pretty dope. Then we have the number 1 seed, the Berg. It fits so many of the criteria I'm looking for, but it was a little bit thin on that rim. It didn't feel as good, and I have to put that into consideration. All right, I'm gonna say Halo Destroyer, it's out. I did like the fun, but it's just not here to stay. So that leaves me with the Judge and the Berg. All right, I gotta go with my heart, and my heart is telling me Cast Blast. It's your boy Berg. Berg for the win. Number one bowl of all time. If you're hitting up a grocery store and a disc golf store, be sure to grab yourself some Cheerios, some milk, and a Berg. This is my go-to bowl. I'm not gonna say I'm sponsored by Cast Blast by any means. Sponsor me if you want to. That'd be pretty cool. But I think it is pretty clear to say Berg is number 1. Haters may hate. Berg gang for life. Represent. I didn't want to give in to the amazingness that is the bird, but you know what? It just feels right. That grip, that scoop, that curved rim, it had to be number one. And I think I truly am putting aside any biases. So that concludes this epic battle to see which disc fits your needs as your daily driver for cereal. Thank you guys for watching. This has been ridiculous. But make sure to subscribe. Wild Runs signing out. Peace.